There's no such thing as focaccia for one, but this is pretty close. Every recipe you find always fills a half sheet tray. So, in my infinite wisdom, I thought, what if I just cut it in half? That's enough to make a video about, right? Nobody's addressing the single person's focaccia market. No, you have to do more than that. You've got at least 8 minutes to fill. There's monetization one day. So then, in my infiniter wisdom, I thought, why not make 2 focaccias? Both that are halves. One with bread flour and one with all-purpose. See what the difference is. That's not even remotely similar to the pizza video I made a couple weeks ago. This is fresh content. Though, it must be admitted, these would be pretty good with pizza toppings on them. Wait, how the hell did I get focaccia before I made it? Anyway, here's your focaccia recipe. It's pretty much like all the other focaccia recipes out there, cause, you know, it's focaccia. One more for good measure? Focaccia. Let's get this over with, alright? None of you are here to make the food. You're here to eat it. In a bowl, mix together 400 grams of flour, or about 3 cups. Like I mentioned before, I'm making 2 versions, one with bread flour and one with all-purpose. This one is all-purpose. I bet you can tell the difference just looking at the flour. I know I totally can. Then whisk in 4 grams of active dry yeast and a tablespoon of salt. In my case, I'm letting the yeast bloom in a 1/4 cup of lukewarm water, about 100 degrees, because it's gone past its expiration date and I am not 100% sure it's alive. Lucky for me, and this video, and you, it is indeed alive. In a stand mixer with a dough hook, we'll combine the flour mixture, the yeast water mixture, and add in another 1.25 cups of lukewarm water. Total, you're looking at 360 grams of water if you did not bloom your yeast. Then run the mixer on low for about 2 minutes so the dough comes together and is completely mixed. And realize while filming that your jerry-rigged table is far too unstable for a stand mixer to be running on top of, and hold on to it for dear life until this part is done. And you move over to the counter for mixing from here on out. Also, you could totally do this by hand, but you're gonna really hate the next part. Also, I don't know if you can totally do this by hand for the next part, because I haven't verified any of it, because I don't hate myself. But, you know, like, old grandmas had to have been making focaccia back in the day before KitchenAid, right? Next, turn the mixer off and cover with a towel for about 10 minutes so the flour can hydrate and the dough can rest. Yeah, this is not the part you're gonna hate. Next, uncover and run on medium speed for about 12 to 15 minutes, or until the dough has pulled away from the sides of the bowl and climbed the dough hook a bit. This is the part that's gonna really suck without a mixer. But hey, you might be able to consider this your workout for the day if you turn your head and squint. Anyway, it's going to be really sticky, so you'll want to get another bowl and add around 2 tablespoons of olive oil to it, coating the inside with your fingers. And don't wipe that oil off, you are going to need it. Dislodge the dough from the hook now with those nasty oily fingers of yours and scrape it into your recently oiled bowl, ensuring you've covered the dough thoroughly in the oil. Oil. Then cover with, you guessed it, an oiled piece of plastic wrap and let rise for about an hour on the counter or until doubled in size. Then, if you're me, make your second dough with bread flour, doing all the same shit except the wobbling fake table, and of course let it rise until doubled. Once risen, go ahead and more oil. Just oil up a 1/4 sheet tray with a couple tablespoons of oil, and yeah, like before, don't wash off the oil. Go ahead and unsheath your dough and pull it up and over itself from all sides like this before plopping it onto the tray you just greased. Push the dough out towards the edges and then cover again and let rest 10 minutes so it'll be more stretchy. And stretch it out to the edges after that. Once it fully fills the pan, cover again and let rise for the final time. About an hour or until, you guessed it, Jesus, how many of these cooking videos do you watch? Until doubled in size. Oh, and preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit in the meantime, with racks in the lowest and highest positions. Also, at this point, you could totally just throw the focaccia dough in the fridge overnight if you wanted to cook it the next day instead. Beautiful, that's probably doubled. Look, even my dog wants some, before it's even ready. Now, uncover it and just completely violate it with your hands. I mean, there's just really not a better way to say it. And be sure to tell anyone you know that eats it that you've touched every damn nook and cranny of this thing, so, in a sense, you've touched the insides of their mouth, fingered it with love. Isn't that nice? Anyway, if you want to, go ahead and top it with things, like this rosemary and garlic. Or just hit it with a little olive oil and flaky salt. Then throw it in the oven for about 20 minutes. It should look like focaccia when it's done, golden and brown. I hope that's helpful. If it's a little under color-wise, put it on the top rack for a few more minutes to brown. And look at that, 2 focaccias for one. One bread flour, one all-purpose flour, and as you can tell, the bread flour one on the right-hand side, or on top, is a little airier. It's got some more pockets in it. Truth be told, when my fat mouth wraps itself around it, I personally cannot tell the difference between the two. But I also live a tale of two taste buds. One set that craves trash food, and one that craves caviar. And clearly the trash taste buds are out in full force on this one. So yeah, I probably won't be making this with bread flour again. It's just completely serviceable with all-purpose, and it's like half the cost, and recession, and inflation, and that sort of stuff. Bon appetit. Honestly, look, I'm annoyed enough about the extra cost of the bread flour here that I'm giving some of it to my dog. I'm genuinely so upset I'm spiting myself. I guess what I'm trying to say is save yourself the money and use the bread flour on pizza dough where it's worth it. What recipe do you use for pizza dough, you ask? Just click on my profile, ding dong. It's in there. In and around the subscribe button, of course.